Hello, I wanted to show you how to construct a scatter plot using a calculator. We're going to use this data I've pulled. This is from Mr. Amplow's third period class, whoever he may be. These are students and the hours they spent studying and their test grade that they made. The first thing you want to do is make sure you understand which variable depends on the other. And in this case, test grade, of course, would depend on the number of hours spent studying. So we're going to enter this data into the calculator. If you are entering statistics, we're going to use the stat key, which makes sense. And we want to edit our data, so we're going to choose choice 1. And if this is cleared out, you can just go ahead and enter your data. I will show you how to clear this out later if needed. I'm going to enter this in quickly. And you get to enter it in just like you see it. Okay, so we have our data in there, and you can double check it. Now, what I'd like to do is create a scatter plot. And we've got our stat windows where you do all your calculations. Above this y equals key, you'll see stat plot. So we're going to do second stat plot, and I have to hit the second key because it's above it. I want to turn plot 1 on. I'm going to choose this, and I'm going to turn it on. And I can actually do a bunch of different types of graphs here. I can do box and whisker, I can do histograms, but I want this very first choice, which is scatter plot. The calculator wants to know where my data is. We entered it into L1 and L2, and I would leave the mark alone. So all of this is ready to go. And now we're going to graph it. Now I will tell you right now, if you graph this, you probably will not see anything. So what I recommend doing is going to zoom, and you want to arrow down until you find zoom stat. What this will do is it'll create the correct window that you need for your graph. So we see our graph. Make sure I entered all my data in correctly. Ooh, look at this. I knew something looked weird. See that 11.5? That should be a 1.5. So this is a very user-friendly calculator, and it will, if you make a mistake, just go back and fix it. So we're going to go back to zoom stat again. And here's my graph. So I can see as the test scores rise, the score rises as well. Now, for the most part, there's just one little curve at the end. And you're going to think about, okay, so is this mostly linear? Is it curved? What kind of relationship do we see here? Without this point, it is definitely pretty linear. With that point, it starts to throw some other questions in the air. So you want to take that for a grain of salt. If you were to draw this on paper, you'd still have to do your scales and label your axes. But it does give you a good idea of what the picture looks like. If you hit trace, you can use these arrows and you can go through and see the individual points. So this is using a calculator. I also want to show you this with Google Sheets. When you are logged into your school email, you have access to Google Sheets. You'll get a blank one. I've already entered the data in here. And you're going to really like this one because you're going to be able to copy and paste this into your lesson. So for this particular one, you're going to select all of this, and we're going to insert a chart. And you can do insert a chart, or you should have a little logo up there, but I'm going to insert the chart. And the first chart that pops up is a bar graph. We don't want a bar graph. We want a scatter plot. So you need to make sure you know what type of graph you want. Instead of a column chart, we want a scatter plot. And if you scroll down, you will see scatter plot. Now, something weird's happening here. Notice that it's plotting hours and it's plotting grades. Well, that doesn't make sense for our work. We want it 0 hours a 75, 1 point, or 1 hour 80. We want 1 point for each of these values. So what you have to do, it's defaulted to say use row 1 as headers. You need to switch that to use column A as labels, and then you will get your correct scatter plot here. Now, you got to work on the titles. So if you have typed in the labels here, you'll see them up here. But what we want to do is customize. We want to customize the chart and axis titles. And the first one is going to be the chart title. And we don't want it to be hours and grades. We want to be a little more clear on what this is. This was Mr. Amplow's third period test grade. So that's a little bit more accurate. And then if you go to chart title, we want the horizontal axis, which is going to be our x-axis. We want that to be the hours studied. And you can see it changes it right away. And we want the vertical axis, which is our y-axis, to be the test grade. Now, what's really cool about this is you're going to be able to select this and copy it. You can do a Control-C. And when you go into your lesson, you can paste it right into your lesson, and you should be able to resize it if needed. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know.